These are the moments that decide who you are when the room goes quiet. What would you do if a slice of cake cost you your job? This happened in San Francisco, inside a cafe where rules matter more than people. A small boy sat alone, staring at the cake display as it might disappear. The waitress didn't ask permission. She set the plate down anyway. The manager saw it. He fired her, calm, public, unapologetic. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the boy's father owned far more than the cafe, and he was coming back with a lawyer.
Enjoying the story so far? Whether you're listening while trying to catch some sleep, getting through your chores, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself, we're glad you're here. Take a minute and tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and stay with us for more stories like this.
When kindness costs you everything, and revenge hands it back, what do you choose? San Francisco. Morning fog. A cafe that sells expensive food and cheap grace. The boy sat alone. Not abandoned looking, not dramatic, just alone in a way you learn early if you've had to. Small backpack at his feet, hands folded on the table like he was trying to take up less space than the chair allowed. He stared at the cake display as if looking too hard might get him in trouble. Ava noticed him because Ava notices things. Not in a superhero way, in a this doesn't add up way. She was wiping the counter when he came up. He didn't fidget, didn't rush. He waited like waiting was familiar. "One slice," he said, soft, clear. Chocolate cake, thick, the kind with layers that means someone cared. She rang it up. The register chirped its usual little confidence. The card reader didn't share it. Declined. The sound was small, embarrassing in its own way. The boy froze like the machine had spoken his name out loud. Ava glanced at the screen, then at him, then past him. No parent hovering, no frantic phone call, no eyes watching to see how this would go. Just fog pressing against the windows and a line of customers pretending not to hear. She slid the card back. "It's okay," the boy said quickly, too quickly. I'm fine." He wasn't asking for mercy, he was asking for permission to disappear. Ava paused. Not long, just long enough for the world to hold its breath. She could already hear the rules lining up in her head. Inventory, policy, precedent. The speech managers love because it absolves them of thinking. She knew all of it, knew exactly how this was supposed to end. But she also knew hunger when it wears manners like armor. She turned, lifted the glass dome, cut a slice. The knife made a soft, decisive sound, final, almost satisfying. She set the plate in front of him. "Eat," she said. Not loud, not kind-sounding, practical. "It's good today." The boy stared at the cake like it might vanish if he blinked. Then he smiled, quick, grateful, dangerous. That was when Marcus saw it. He didn't rush over, didn't shout. Marcus never wasted energy when calm did the job cleaner. He walked up slow, hands clasped behind his back, like this was a museum and Ava was touching the art. "What's that?" he asked. Ava didn't look at him. She watched the boy take his first bite, watched his shoulders drop, watched the relief arrive before the sweetness. "Cake," she said. Marcus smiled the way people do when they're about to say something they believe is reasonable. Did he pay for it? No. The cafe froze. It just leaned away. Cups stopped clinking. Someone checked their phone too deliberately. Marcus nodded once, as if she'd confirmed a suspicion. It's company policy. No free items, ever. Ava met his eyes then. Not defiant, not apologetic, present. He was hungry. Marcus tilted his head, studied her like a line item. That's not how this works. He didn't raise his voice when he fired her. That's the part people remember later. He said it clean. efficient, like deleting a file. Ava untied her apron, folded it once, set it down. The boy looked up, panic flashing across his face. "Did I do something wrong?" he asked. Ava knelt so they were eye level. "No," she said, steady, certain. "You didn't." Then she stood, walked past Marcus, past the register, out into the fog without explaining herself to anyone who hadn't bothered to understand. Behind her, the cake sat half-eaten, and somewhere far above this café, far beyond the rules that had just ended a job, something had shifted, quietly, expensively. If you were standing where she stood, with the door open behind you and the room watching, would you have done the same?
Ava Brooks had learned the difference between people who wait and people who hope. Leo was waiting. He didn't wave, didn't clear his throat, didn't lean forward the way kids do when they're excited or bored or both. He sat still, hands folded on the table, eyes drifting back to the cake display like it was something he wasn't sure he was allowed to want. That's what caught her. Not the hunger. Hunger is loud if you know what to listen for. This was quieter than that. Ava had grown up watching people make themselves small. She recognized the posture immediately. The shoulders tucked in, the elbows close, the careful way he kept his feet planted under the chair like they might wander off without permission. He didn't ask for help. He didn't ask for anything. When she walked over to clear the empty cup on his table, he looked up at her fast, then back down again, like eye contact was a risk he couldn't afford. "You doing okay over here?" she asked. "Yeah," he said. Immediate, polite. "I'm good." He wasn't. But Ava didn't correct him. She nodded like she believed him, because sometimes that's the kindest thing you can do. Let someone keep their dignity intact a few seconds longer. She glanced at the plate in front of him. Empty. Crumbs arranged neatly at one corner, like he'd organized them on purpose, like he didn't want to leave a mess behind. He noticed her looking and straightened a little. "I was just waiting. My dad said to sit tight." There it was. Not, "I'll wait." I was told to wait. Ava smiled. Not the customer service one, the other kind. Quick, crooked. "You've been sitting a while," she said. "That's okay." It wasn't, but again, she let it be. She turned back toward the counter, grabbed a cloth, wiped a spot that didn't need wiping. Her mind did the math automatically. One slice of cake. Inventory would barely blink. The register would notice, sure, but registers notice everything. That's their whole personality. She glanced over her shoulder. Leo's gaze was back on the cake, chocolate this time. He watched it the way people watch trains they're not sure they're allowed to board. Ava exhaled through her nose. "Figures," she muttered under her breath. "Systems allergic to hungry kids." She didn't make a show of it. That mattered to her. She lifted the glass dome. The air shifted slightly, sweet and rich. She cut a slice. The knife went through clean like the cake had been waiting for that too. She set it on a plate, grabbed a fork, and walked it back to the table. She didn't announce herself, just set it down. Leo's eyes went wide, then cautious. He stopped, swallowed. "I didn't—" "It's fine," Ava said. Easy, almost bored, like this was the most normal thing in the world. It's been sitting there judging all of us anyway. That made him smile. A real one this time. Small but unguarded. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Very." He hesitated. Then that broke something in her chest she didn't have a name for. Then he took a bite. Not fast, not greedy. Careful, like he wanted it to stay real. Ava watched his shoulders drop a fraction, watched the tension ease out of him like air escaping a tire you didn't realize was overinflated. She turned away before it could become a moment. Moments invite questions. Questions invite rules. She went back to wiping counters, refilling napkins, moving like nothing had happened. But something had. She felt it in the way the room shifted just slightly, in the way a couple at the window suddenly found the fog fascinating, in the way someone behind Leo pretended to scroll a phone they weren't really looking at. Kindness does that. It disrupts the flow. Leo ate quietly. No crumbs on the floor, no mess. When he was halfway through, he looked up again. "Thank you," he said. Ava glanced at him. "You're welcome." He paused. "I'll pay next time." She raised an eyebrow. "That a promise?" "Yes," he said, serious. She smiled again, softer this time. "I'll hold you to it." From across the cafe, Marcus watched. He didn't rush over, didn't interrupt. He just clocked the plate.
The missing entry on the screen, the way Ava had positioned herself slightly between the boy and the rest of the room. Marcus didn't believe in accidents. Ava felt him before she saw him, that subtle pressure you get when someone with authority decides to enter your orbit. She didn't turn right away. Leo took another bite, and for a few quiet seconds, just a few, the world worked the way it was supposed to. That was the problem, because the system notices when you disrupt it, and it always sends someone to remind you who pays for grace.
Marcus Whitmore didn't hurry. That was his tell. He approached the table the way men do when they believe the room already belongs to them. Measured steps, calm expression, voice prepared to sound reasonable no matter what came out of it. Ava felt him before she turned. Authority has weight. It presses the air down. He stopped beside the table, looked at the plate, then at the boy, then back at Ava like she was a line item that didn't balance. "Did he pay for that?" Marcus asked. His voice was even, almost pleasant, the kind people trust because it never sounds angry. Ava didn't match his tone. She didn't sharpen hers either. "No." A pause, just enough to let the words settle. Marcus nodded once slowly, then "That's a problem." The boy froze, fork hovering, eyes darting between them as he'd accidentally wandered into traffic. Ava shifted her body without thinking, half a step, enough to block the view of the plate, enough to signal something she didn't have language for yet. Marcus noticed. He always noticed. "This isn't about hunger," he said, lowering his voice like they were co-conspirators. "It's about policy." Ava folded her arms loosely, not defensive, grounded. "He's a kid." Marcus smiled, not unkindly. That made it worse. "If I let you do this," he said, "everyone will." There it was, the sentence that ends conversations, the one that turns people into hypotheticals so rules don't have to feel cruel. Ava studied him, really looked. The crisp shirt, the confidence that comes from knowing consequences never land on you. "And then what?" she asked. Marcus blinked, not because he didn't understand, but because she skipped the part where she was supposed to apologize. "Then we don't have a business," he said. "We have chaos." The word hung there, heavy, ridiculous. Ava glanced around. The café was still standing. No riots, no flames, just a boy eating cake too carefully. She didn't argue, didn't defend herself, didn't raise her voice to make a point. She reached up and untied her apron. The sound of fabric sliding through fingers cut sharper than shouting ever could. Marcus straightened. "Don't be dramatic." She folded the apron once, then again, neat, intentional. "I'm not. I'm listening." He frowned. "You're fired." The word landed clean, no wobble, no hesitation, public, final. The café leaned away from them again, people suddenly fascinated by spoons, phones, fog. The boy looked up. "What?" His voice cracked on the edge of confusion. I can put it back." He reached for the plate like he might return the slice to where it came from, undo the damage with good manners. Ava moved before Marcus could speak again. She knelt, eye level, same air. "No," she said, firm, gentle, certain. "You didn't do anything wrong." The boy's lip trembled, then steadied. He nodded like he'd been given instructions and intended to follow them perfectly. Marcus cleared his throat. "We're done here." Ava stood. She didn't look at him. She picked up the folded apron, set it on the counter, smoothed the edge once like muscle memory didn't know how to stop yet. Then she walked toward the door. No speech, no glare, no last words to make anyone uncomfortable enough to reconsider. The fog swallowed her whole the moment she stepped outside. Behind her, the boy stared at the half-eaten cake. Marcus watched the door close. For a brief moment, so brief it almost didn't count, something flickered across his face. Not guilt, not regret, uncertainty.
He pushed it down immediately. Rules were rules, and order, after all, had to be protected. Still, somewhere deep in the cafe, beneath the quiet hum of machines and compliance, something had been disrupted. If you had been standing there, close enough to hear the fork touch the plate, close enough to feel the room pull back, would you have said something or let policy do the talking for you?
Leo's father arrived an hour later. Not rushed, not angry. That mattered. Julian Hale stepped into the cafe like he belonged there, not because he owned half of what was on the block, but because he'd learned long ago how to take up space without announcing it. Dark coat, clean lines, no unnecessary movement. He paused just inside the door, letting his eyes adjust, letting the room reveal itself. Leo spotted him immediately. He slid off the chair and crossed the floor without running. That same careful posture, same restraint. Julian crouched, hands on his knees. "You okay?" Leo nodded, then hesitated. "I think I got someone in trouble." Julian didn't correct him. He never corrected fear right away. "Tell me what happened." Leo told him, not dramatically, just facts. The cake, the card, the woman who brought it anyway, the man who didn't like that. Julian listened, all the way through, no interruptions, no theatrical stillness meant to scare anyone into truth. When Leo finished, Julian stood. He looked around the cafe, not scanning, not searching, observing, counting. The way men do when they've learned to read rooms faster than balance sheets. "Do you know her name?" he asked his son. Leo said, "Ava." She said the cake was judging everyone. Julian almost smiled. "And the man who spoke to her?" Leo pointed. "Him." Marcus was at the register, mid-sentence with another employee. He noticed Julian's attention and straightened instinctively. Authority recognizes authority, even before it understands it. Julian approached, calm, unhurried. "Good morning," Julian said. Marcus smiled automatically. "How can I help you?" Julian didn't mirror it. "I'm looking for a waitress who was here earlier," he said. "Name's Ava Brooks." Marcus's falter for half a second, not enough for most people to notice. "She no longer works here." Julian nodded once. "Why?" Marcus gestured vaguely. "Policy violation." "What policy?" He hesitated, just long enough. "No free items." Julian let that sit. He didn't argue, didn't press, didn't defend. "And the child?" he asked. "What policy covers him?" Marcus stiffened. "Sir, I'm not sure." Julian raised his hand. Gentle, final. "That's fine," he said. "I don't need more detail." He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a card, set it on the counter. Name, number, no logo. "I'll need the full incident report, employee termination paperwork, security footage from this morning." Marcus blinked. "Excuse me?" Julian's voice didn't change. "I'll also need the corporate contact responsible for this location." Marcus's eyes flicked to the card, back to Julian. Something in his posture shifted. Not panic, not fear. Recognition. "I'm the regional manager," said Marcus carefully. Julian inclined his head. "Then I'll be speaking with you again." He turned away before Marcus could respond. Leo waved at the counter, small, hopeful. Julian placed a hand on his son's shoulder, guided him toward the door. They left the cafe exactly as they'd entered it, quietly. That was when the danger began. Marcus stood still for a moment longer than necessary. Then he picked up the card, turned it over, read the name again. Julian Hale. The fog outside the glass pressed against it as if it was listening. Marcus didn't know it yet, but calls were already being made, paperwork already moving, lawyers already alerted. Not dramatic, not explosive, the kind of danger that doesn't kick the door in, the kind that waits for you to sit down before it reminds you who owns the building you're standing in. And somewhere between the hum of the espresso machine and the quiet panic he refused to acknowledge, Marcus Whitmore realized, too late,
that yesterday's decision had not ended anything. It had only started the count. The next morning, Marcus Whitmore arrived early. That alone should have told him something. He unlocked the cafe, flipped on the lights, ran through the numbers like he always did. Inventory, staffing, margins. Familiar things, solid things, the kind that keep a man steady when he doesn't want to think about yesterday. By 9, the place was full again. Coffee grinding, chairs scraping, people settling into routines they trusted. Marcus told himself that meant he was right. Then, Julian Hale walked in. Not alone this time. The man beside him didn't look like muscle. No bulk, no scowl, just a slim briefcase and the kind of posture that comes from knowing words can be more dangerous than fists. Lawyer. Marcus felt the shift before he understood it. The room didn't freeze, it leaned in. Julian nodded politely. "Good morning." Marcus straightened. Professional, prepared. "I assume this is about yesterday," Marcus said. "We handle complaints through corporate channels." Julian didn't correct him. He just glanced around, taking in the cafe like it was a document he'd already read once. "This won't take long," Julian said. He placed a folder on the counter, thick, organized. The lawyer opened it without being asked. Marcus smiled tightly. "Sir, I'm happy to explain." Julian raised a finger. Not sharp, just enough. "I'm not here for an explanation," he said. "I'm here for confirmation." The lawyer slid the first document across. Deed records. Marcus frowned. "What is this?" Julian's voice stayed level. "This building." Marcus laughed once. A reflex. "I'm sorry?" "I own it," Julian said. No emphasis, no pride, just fact. Purchased 6 years ago through a holding company. The laughter didn't come again. The lawyer slid another page forward. "Equity filings," Julian continued. "Minority stake in the parent company, significant enough to request review authority." Marcus swallowed. The room was quiet now. Not awkward quiet, alert quiet. The kind staff members recognize when something above their pay grade is unfolding. Julian leaned in slightly. "Yesterday," he said, "you fired an employee for feeding my son." Marcus opened his mouth. Julian didn't stop him. He let him feel the urge before removing it. "I don't object to rules," Julian went on. "I object to people who hide behind them." Marcus glanced around. Every employee was watching now. No phones, no pretending. This was the doorway. This was where Julian could end him. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Based on our findings, immediate termination would be well within—" Julian lifted his hand again. "No," he said. That word landed harder than yes ever could have. Marcus looked up, confused, hope flickering dangerously. Julian's eyes met his, calm, assessing. "You're not being fired today," Julian said. A ripple moved through the room. Confusion, relief, disappointment, curiosity. "But," Julian added, "you will be corrected." The lawyer slid the final document forward. A restructuring notice. Marcus read it once, then again. Demotion, salary reduction, probation, and then the line that made his jaw tighten. Mandatory participation in all company-partnered community food programs. Julian watched him read it. "You'll serve meals," Julian said. "You'll attend distributions. You'll work shifts, not as a supervisor, as help." Marcus's face flushed. "This is appropriate," Julian said gently. "You believed hunger was not your responsibility. Now it will be." Silence stretched. Staff stared. No one spoke. No one moved. Marcus looked at the paper, then at Julian, then down at the counter where a slice of cake had sat yesterday. This wasn't revenge. That was the cruel part. Revenge would have been faster, cleaner, easier to hate. This was exposure. Julian gathered the folder, turned toward the door. "I expect compliance, not gratitude." He paused, looked back once. "And if you ever confuse authority with worth again," Julian added, "remember some of us learned power by being hungry first." Then he left. The door closed softly behind him. Marcus stood there with the papers in his hands, the room watching, the silence heavy enough to feel like judgment. The cafe was still standing, but the floor beneath him no longer was.
Ava didn't expect the call. She was halfway through a bus ride that smelled like wet coats and burnt coffee, staring out the window at nothing in particular, when her phone buzzed with a number she didn't recognize. She almost ignored it. Almost. "Ms. Brooks?" the voice said. Male. Calm. Careful. "Yes?" "This is Julian Hale. I'd like to speak with you in person, today, if possible." No explanation. No apology layered in corporate language, just a request that didn't pretend it wasn't already an offer. Ava got off 2 stops early. They met back at the cafe. That alone was intentional. Marcus was already there when she walked in, standing, waiting. He looked smaller without authority backing him up. Same suit, different posture. The staff watched her enter like she was a verdict walking on 2 feet. Julian stood from a corner table, no lawyer this time, just him. "Thank you for coming," he said. Ava nodded, didn't sit right away. Julian gestured to the chair across from Marcus. "You have choices," Julian said. "Direct, honest. And you should know all of them." He didn't list them with drama. He laid them out like tools on a table. She could sue, publicly. She could demand Marcus be fired, publicly. She could request damages that would hurt, not financially, but reputationally. Julian didn't frame any of it as revenge. He framed it as available. Marcus kept his eyes on the table, hands folded tight enough to turn the knuckles pale. This was his danger moment, not because he feared being fired, because he feared being exposed. Ava looked at him, really looked. Yesterday, he'd been tall behind the counter, certain, protected by policy. Today, he was just a man waiting to find out how much his certainty would cost him. Ava felt the room lean in again, this time toward her. Ava exhaled, slow. "He didn't break the rules," she said. Marcus's head snapped up. Julian stilled. "He followed them," Ava continued, "perfectly." Julian watched her closely now. This wasn't going the way he'd rehearsed. Ava glanced at the window. Fog again. Same city, different weight. He just forgot who they were for. The words didn't land loudly. They didn't need to. Silence stretched, thick, honest. Marcus swallowed. Julian leaned back, studying her like she'd handed him a different map than the one he'd been using. "You don't want restitution?" Julian asked. Ava shook her head. "I want him to understand." Marcus closed his eyes briefly, not in relief, in recognition. Julian nodded once. That nod meant something. Ava felt it. Not agreement, respect. "Then we'll proceed as planned," Julian said. "Probation, community programs, accountability." He looked at Marcus. "You'll learn what you dismissed." Marcus nodded. "Yes." Julian stood, turned back to Ava. "If you ever change your mind—" "I won't," she said. Not sharp, certain. Julian smiled, just a flicker. "That's what I thought." Ava stood too. As she walked toward the door, Marcus spoke for the first time since she arrived. "I'm sorry," he said. She paused, didn't turn. "I know. That's the problem." She left the cafe without the fog swallowing her this time. Outside, the city moved on, unimpressed, alive. Ava breathed it in. Power had been handed to her, and she had chosen not to crush anyone with it. That choice would cost her something. She just didn't know what yet. Marcus Whitmore's first day at the food program didn't come with an orientation packet. No laminated badge, no mission statement printed in friendly fonts. Just a folding table, a line that curved around the block, and a volunteer who pointed without looking up. "Apron's over there." The apron was thinner than the one at the cafe, stained, tired, real. Marcus hesitated, just long enough to feel it. Then he tied it on. The place was a converted community center south of Market, fluorescent lights that hummed like they'd seen too much, steam rising from metal trays, the smell of soup that didn't pretend to be anything else. No cameras. That part surprised him more than the demotion ever could have. No one was documenting this. No one cared who he was. The clipboard didn't ask for his resume. It just asked if he could lift boxes without dropping them. He could. At first, he tried to manage it. He stood straight, spoke formally, over-explained. Habit clung to him like starch. "Sir," a volunteer said without looking up, "either serve the bowl or don't. People are waiting." Marcus blinked. He picked up the ladle. The first man in line wouldn't meet his eyes. Marcus noticed that right away. He handed over the bowl, careful not to spill. "Thank you," the man said. Quiet, automatic. Marcus nodded, already reaching for the next. But then the next woman did look up. Not angry, not grateful, curious. "What's your name?" she asked. Marcus opened his mouth. No one had asked him that in a long time without already knowing the answer. "Marcus," he said. She smiled. "I'm Elena." And just like that, the transaction changed shape. He cleaned tables after, scraped trays, wiped spills that dried too fast. The motions were simple. The effect wasn't. People talked to him. Not about policy, about weather, about buses that never came on time, about kids who hated math, about nothing that could be solved with authority. He learned names. He learned how often people apologized for existing. "I'm sorry," a man said when Marcus refilled his water. "I know you're busy." Marcus looked at him. "No," he said. "It's fine." The words felt different here. He didn't know why. Days passed. He stopped checking the time. He stopped correcting people when they called him sir, stopped explaining what he used to do. No one asked. Hunger flattened hierarchy. On the fourth day, a boy came through the line with the same posture Leo had worn, hands folded, eyes down. Marcus felt it in his chest before he could think it through. He set the bowl down, gently. "You can sit wherever you like," he said. The boy nodded, sat, ate like the food might change its mind. Marcus stepped back. For the first time since the cafe, he understood where Ava had been standing. Not above, not behind, beside. There were no speeches, no redemption arcs tied up neatly with ribbon. Just repetition. Serving, cleaning, looking people in the eye. Learning that rules don't reach this far. And maybe they weren't supposed to. By the end of the week, Marcus's hands smelled like soap no matter how many times he washed them. He didn't mind. Punishment would have been losing his job. This was something else. This was being required to see. And once you see, really see, you don't get to unknow it. That was the cost, and it was being paid in full, one bowl at a time.
Marcus tried to keep his distance. That was his first instinct. Step back, observe, categorize. He told himself he was there to comply, not connect, that this was temporary, that words like service window and distribution flow still applied, even if the counters were folding tables and the food came in bulk tins with no branding. On the second week, he used the phrase resource allocation out loud. A volunteer named Rosa stopped stirring and looked at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. "People are hungry," she said, "not a spreadsheet." She went back to stirring. Marcus flushed, not because she was rude, because she was right, and she hadn't needed to raise her voice to prove it. He kept trying anyway. He suggested efficiency, better lines, clearer signage. He talked about bottlenecks. Rosa handed him a broom. "Start with the floor," she said. So he did. Hunger didn't care about policy. It didn't wait its turn. It didn't read memos. It showed up early and stayed late. Small moments began to crack him open. A kid refused a second helping because someone behind him might need it more. He said it like a rule he'd invented to survive. Marcus watched him go, tray lighter than it should have been. A woman counted napkins before sitting down, folded them carefully, slid 2 into her bag, left the rest, like she was budgeting for a future that didn't give her much notice. Marcus pretended not to see. Then he stopped pretending. What undid him wasn't the hunger, it was the posture. He started seeing Leo everywhere. The way kids tucked their elbows in, the way they waited for permission even when no one was watching, the way they scanned faces before eating just in case. Once you see it, you can't stop. On Thursday, Marcus corrected a boy who tried to leave his tray behind. "You don't have to clean up," Marcus said, reflexively. The boy froze, eyes wide. "I didn't mean," the boy stammered. I just... Marcus felt the words land wrong the second they left his mouth. He knelt. "No," he said slower. "I meant you don't owe us anything." The boy nodded, uncertain, left the tray anyway. Marcus stayed kneeling longer than necessary. There was no moment of redemption, no cinematic realization that snapped everything into place, just erosion. Every correction from volunteers who didn't care who he used to be. Every look from someone who expected dismissal and got neutrality instead. Every name he learned because it mattered to the person who owned it. He stopped introducing himself. Just served. Just listened. One afternoon, he caught himself smiling at a joke someone made about burnt soup. That scared him a little, because it meant this wasn't punishment anymore. It was changing him. Not loudly, not heroically, but in the way stone changes underwater, slow, unremarkable, irreversible. Marcus went home that night and stared at his hands. They didn't look different, but they felt heavier and lighter at the same time. He didn't know what he was becoming yet, only that whatever arrogance he'd arrived with was wearing thin. And once arrogance starts to erode, it doesn't come back the same shape, if it comes back at all.
Ava didn't expect to see Julian again so soon. When she did, it wasn't dramatic. No sweeping entrances, no carefully staged coincidence, just a late afternoon, the city softened by fog again, and Julian Hale standing a few steps behind her in line at a food truck near the Embarcadero. She noticed him because he didn't check his phone. People with money usually do. People without patience don't. "You're stalking me now?" she said, not turning around. Julian smiled. She heard it in his voice before she saw it. "I was hoping you'd say something worse." She stepped aside after ordering. He joined her at the curb, both of them facing the water like it was a neutral third party. They stood in silence for a moment, comfortable. That was new. "How's Marcus?" Ava asked. Julian didn't answer right away. He watched a ferry cut through the fog. "Struggling, which means it's working." Ava nodded. "Good." Julian glanced at her. "You don't sound satisfied." "I'm not supposed to be." That earned her a quiet laugh, dry, appreciative. "You could have ended him," Julian said then, not accusing, curious. Ava met his gaze. "I know." That was it. No explanation, no justification, just truth set down between them. Julian exhaled slowly, like something he'd been holding finally had permission to loosen. "You surprised me," he said. "That seems to happen to men like you, a lot." He accepted that without offense. That mattered. They ate standing up, paper trays balanced carefully. No rush. Julian didn't pretend the power imbalance didn't exist. "I don't want to complicate things," he said. "You should know that." Ava nodded. "I already do." Another silence, this one heavier, more aware. He wasn't offering rescue, she wasn't asking for it. They were just two people standing in the same place, recognizing something familiar in each other. Restraint, maybe,
or the cost of choosing right when it's inconvenient. Julian finished his food, crumpled the paper neatly. "I'm glad you didn't choose revenge," he said. "So am I," Ava replied. "I'd have hated myself for winning like that." He studied her then, not as a billionaire, not as an employer, just as a man realizing that attraction doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it just settles. They parted without promises. No exchanged numbers, no lingering touches. Just a shared look that said, "I see you. I respect you. Let's not ruin that." Ava walked away feeling steady. Julian watched her go, aware, maybe for the first time, that power had nothing to do with why his chest felt tight. It was recognition. And recognition, he knew, was dangerous. Not because it demanded action, but because it made ignoring it impossible. Weeks later, the fog came in lower. Not dramatic, just enough to soften the edges of the afternoon. The community center was louder now. Not chaotic, alive. Chairs scraping, someone laughing too hard at a joke that wasn't that funny. The smell of food that didn't pretend to be anything else. Marcus stood behind the table. Same thin apron, same worn surface, different hands. He served slower than the volunteers, still careful, still a little stiff around the shoulders. But he didn't flinch anymore when people didn't say thank you. He didn't overcorrect when they did. He just served. A kid reached the front of the line. Leo. Marcus recognized the posture before the face, then the face caught up. But something was different. Leo didn't hover, didn't wait to be told. He stepped forward, eyes bright, shoulders loose, like this place didn't scare him. "What's good today?" Leo asked. Marcus blinked, smiled before he could stop himself. "Chicken stew, it's solid." Leo nodded, decisive. "I'll take that." No hesitation, no apology. Marcus filled the bowl, passed it over. Leo took it with both hands, looked up. "Thanks." Marcus met his eyes this time. "You're welcome." Leo walked away already talking, already laughing, already planning where to sit. Marcus watched him go. He didn't think of policy, didn't think of rules, didn't think of what this would look like to anyone else. He just stood there, apron crooked, learning still. Because learning didn't stop just because you'd been humbled once. Across the room, Ava leaned against the wall. She hadn't announced herself. She never did anymore. She just showed up where she was needed and stayed quiet enough to notice what mattered. Julian stood beside her, close, but not crowding. They didn't speak right away. They watched Marcus serve, watched Leo eat freely now, no scanning, no waiting, no careful glances to see who might be watching him. "That's different," Julian said finally. Ava nodded. "Yeah." Marcus caught sight of them then, stilled for half a second. Not fear, not shame, recognition. He nodded once, small, real. Ava nodded back. That was all. Julian didn't put an arm around her. Ava didn't reach for his hand. They didn't need the gesture to name what was already settled between them. Alignment doesn't announce itself. It just stands there quietly, watching the work continue. And for the first time since a slice of cake changed the direction of all their lives, the room felt balanced. Not perfect, but honest. Which, Ava thought, was better. Kindness was never a weakness. It just didn't announce itself. Revenge would have been easier. Ava could have taken it, public, clean, deserved. The power was there, waiting to be used. But mercy costs more. Marcus paid it slowly, standing where rules stop working, serving people he once reduced to policy, learning names instead of enforcing margins. Not redeemed, just changed enough to matter. Ava kept the one thing power can't return once it's spent, her dignity. And Julian learned that restraint isn't the absence of strength, it's the proof of it. No speeches followed, no victory laps. Life simply adjusted around the choice that had been made. Because some lessons aren't learned when you lose your job. They're learned when you have to serve the people you once ignored.
Hey you, my fellow story family. Thank you for staying with us till the very end. We'd love to hear how this story made you feel. Would you have done anything differently? What did it teach you? If this story mirrors a season of your own life, feel free to share it with us in the comments. Stay close to this channel for more stories that speak of strength, love, and hope.